I'm in focus now. Am I good?
Yeah, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Don't log out. We'll get it fixed, okay?
Okay.
Don't log out. So, AJ, this is my grandpa. You can't see him right now, but he's the star of the show.
It says Freddie Ford. Is that his name?
Yeah, this was that's the name we gave his Wi-Fi.
Okay. All right.
But
Cool.
Grandpa, this is my friend AJ. Was a Spartan dog. I guess he's gonna be our what they say on the news, consultant or pundit.
Consultant is typically what I'm called in most circles, unless it's the 7-letter A word, but normally it's consultant.
Well, we normally. I know you're at your business, so you probably can't be in. But
Well, I'm
we
gonna close
normally.
the door so people can't really hear me. Let me close my office door. Give me 1 sec.
All right. What do you got today, Grandpa?
Well, I got the traditional.
See,
What's
if
that?
I remember though,
You
I
can't
remember
see
you
it.
had a podcast where you guys was drinking and stuff on it. So when you asked me to come, I went and pulled out some liquor and stuff. I didn't know if I had to pour drinks to be a part of this.
Oh yeah, man, do that.
Yeah, hold on, man.
Grandpa was telling me. Grandpa was telling me what he had. What do you got to drink, Grandpa?
I had me a Bud Light, not just a Budweiser.
All right, you
Sean,
got Budweiser today.
one
I see you got
part,
the red cup.
Yeah.
red cup.
Red Top. Dr. Pepper.
Hold on.
Okay.
And my favorite with the Dr. Pepper. This is the most underrated mix with Dr. Pepper.
Oh boy.
Okay.
So we
You
go
got the Crown Peach.
red cup. Good long pour.
What happens when you own the business?
Somebody gonna fire me for this today?
You said someone about to fire you for this. That's funny.
I don't know. The only person that can fire me is my wife, and she don't pay attention to nothing I do on the internet, so I ain't really worried about her. My daughters think they in charge. They might come in and try to fire me. It's about school letting out right now, so they liable to pop up. But they're only 14 and 16. It's not like I really got to listen to them.
No, I got you, man. That's funny. Well, let me be here. I got something from Arbor Brewing Company, Strawberry Blonde. This
Okay.
is what's it called? This Strawberry Blonde brewed with strawberries and orange peel. This is made in. Oh wow! This is packaged and brewed in Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Oh, good deal. Now you're gonna laugh at me because my drink is not as cold as I want. So I'm gonna show you this. I am not going to get up and go to the ice machine. I got a really nice cooler right here, a water machine. So I'm just gonna put some cold water in my drink, and then we'll be all happy.
Okay.
Spartan Dog cooler though, or water thing. What do you call it? Give me 1 sec.
Oh man, what are you giving that Budweiser today, Grandpa?
There we go. We're all set now.
We always deserve a 5.5. Yeah.
All right, starting with 5.5. So we normally rate stuff on a scale of 1 to 10. What are you rating that Crown Peach today, man?
Crown Peach and Dr. Pepper. It's a little sweet, so get about 6.
Okay.
About 6 and a quarter. It's above average, but it's not like I'm not gonna put it up there with the with the Crown apple juice and Sprite, which is my favorite.
I see. You got to pace yourself because you're gonna be going out this weekend to represent.
It's gonna be a calamity from the moment I land. Like I picked my rental car up at 7:15 Friday. I got 3 different bar reservations. Don't know how I'm gonna make any of them. Like it's the MSU Black alumni got something going on. Then you got the Spartan Dogs got something going on. And then I don't even know how I got invited, but somehow I'm in like invited to like University of Washington Black alumni. I got a cousin that graduated from. I don't even know how that happened.
Man, you about to have a good time, man. Let me be here. Let me see.
Yeah, but I think the Black alumni event at Haggerty's might be the best one, so I'm definitely gonna go to that.
I think Rap about to log back in.
Yeah. The MSU Black Alumni Association, they rented out a whole bar, so I'm like, I gotta give them boys credit.
There you go, Grandpa. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
strawberry
blonde.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
So that's gonna be. I think I'm gonna rate it. It's pretty good. I'll give it a solid 7. It's drinkable. I drink it again. You do taste the strawberry, not a whole lot. Like it's not sweet, but you could taste the strawberry. You can even taste a little bit of the citrus of the orange peel, but it's good. It's decent. You might not like it, Grandpa, because you like, as you quote, real beer, and real beer doesn't have fruit flavors in it. But it's pretty solid. But Uncle Pooh might join a little bit later. But I brought AJ on here today because last week we were talking about finance and business. And before we get into that, why don't you give people a rundown, AJ, about who you are and what you're doing, man?
All right. The short version: AJ Butler out of Metro Cincinnati, Ohio. MSU class of '99 in economics. Masters of Economics, Xavier, class of 04. Owner and general manager, I rarely say owner, general manager of KPM Freight Logistics in Mason, Ohio. That's the main gig. Got a few other ventures going on, but that's the one that pays the bills and gets everything going. You know, a little bit of a home investor, partial interest in a couple car lots around Cincinnati. And of course, who wouldn't own a laundromat?
Okay, so what? Tell us a little bit about the journey, man. Like, how did you get from graduate? How'd you get from star MSU football player to graduating to now owning multiple businesses?
I tell everybody the story of how I got in the business for myself. It's a funny story, but a sad story at the same time. All right. It goes back to all the guys I came into school with in 93. Because I came in with like MSU's biggest recruitment class at the time in 93. And you had names like Derek Mason, Tony Banks, Flozell Adams, Najee Carter, Reggie Garnett, Ike Reese. You know, my class that came in, it was 38 of us. Out of that 38, 11 of those guys made it to the league. Most notable at the time was Derek Mason. Well, Derek Mason and Sean Hart was from New Jersey like I am. We were from the same area. I'm from Newark, he's from Elizabeth. Well, Newark is known as like the Brick City. Well, Sean decided to stay up in Lansing come 97 around graduation when D. Mace went into the league and Mace was his best friend. Mace set him up with this shop called Brick City in Lansing, like a clothing store. You know, and they did all right with that for a few years. Because that's what really got me going like, man, you know, you ain't got to work for nobody if you got a couple bucks behind you to get the ball rolling. You know, that's what really started off. So come 04, when I get out of grad school and I'm in the mortgage is pretty heavy, I'm like, I'm just going through like people that I know. I'm like, man, this kind of weird. But between guys I went to high school with and college with, I flat out know 20 millionaires. Not like casually know, but I mean, could call them up. You know, they come by the house when they in town. I was like, what am I doing working solo? You know, it's like any one of these boys, they all like me. You know, throw me a couple bucks, get the ball rolling. So in 04, I was working for a mortgage company. I have a mortgage loan officer's license. I was working for this company called Home Gold in Forest Park, Ohio. And I was like one of their top salespeople, right? But then I realized, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I just had an epiphany at the time. I had generated about $4 million in mortgages And the way mortgage packages worked back then, they would bundle them and sell them to bigger banks, like to your PNCs, Fifth Thirds, or like Countrywide, like that. And when I realized those mortgages that I did, they were selling the Countrywide at 5 points on the package. So that means every $1 million, they was making 50,000 on the package. And I'm doing $4 million bundles. I'm like, I just hustled for a month, and they just sold what I did, and they picked up 200 to 250,000. And I'm like, yeah, they paid me 15, which in the grand scheme make 15 grand a month, good money. But I'm looking at the bigger picture, like, hold on, I did all the work. I granted they put the money up, but they just picked up $250,000 even after paying the expenses. I'm like, I'm hustling backwards. I was like, this don't make no sense. And so I called a couple of my homeboys, and they all had a couple bucks, between, and not just the guys I know, but then the story goes a little deeper because like one of my homeboys I played with at State, Kurt Daniels, aka Freddie Loke, his best friend was the highest paid player in the league at the time, Big Bob Whitfield down with the Falcons. So and Bob was the money guy. I mean, we talking 04, you got Bob making 18 mil a year back then, which was crazy. So any idea that made any sense, if you wanted to bring an investor in, get the word to Freddie, get the word to Bob, and you might be on. And so, that's how that went. And before you know it, I go from working at a mortgage company to running Challenge Financial, which was my own mortgage company backed by about 8 dudes in the league that gave me all the money I needed in order to get these loans funded and get the ball rolling. And that was, my my main thing until the market decided to take a crap in 08. When the housing crisis hit. Yeah, the housing crisis hit. I'm a mortgage wholesaler, and I'm sitting there holding $7 million worth of mortgages, and they ain't got nobody to buy them. So it was like, whoa. I had to figure out how to dump these mortgages and get everybody their money. That was a hell of a dilemma. And that's how I go from mortgages into the trucking game that I've been into since then. So Fifth Third threw me a life raft at the end of 08 and bought all my mortgages out. It only cost me about 300 grand out my pocket. And I was happy to dump that 7 million worth of mortgages.
Man, that sounds like a blessing, man. It sounds like now what you were talking about. It sounds like what people I've heard professionally on Shark Tank call angel investors. Like you have private investors that I know personally or whoever, and they give you lines of credit or what have you. Is that kind of the situation?
Kind of what it was. It was partial because I had a good idea, and just because I could actually articulate it and show it to guys, like, this is what these guys are doing and how they make this money. And that's how on the mortgage side is how I had people willing to go in with me and help me get so I could be a wholesaler. Because that's the big thing on mortgage wholesaling. You got to have a lot of money just sitting around to buy these loans up. And like I said, from 04 to 08, it was great. If you generated $1 million worth of loans, Countrywide would pay you, $1,660,000. So you can make 6 points on it. I mean, great money. If you're doing that every month, and you splitting with your investors 50-50, the profit, they getting their money, you getting your money, everybody happy. It's all good and dandy when the checks coming in and everybody happy with the money coming in. But when that mortgage crisis of 08 hit, and all of a sudden, nobody buying loans. So instead of getting 6 points, you might have to sell a loan and it costs you $3,000 to sell it. You're like, wait a minute, this don't work.
So what about the trucking industry? Was it just the opportunity, or is it a good thing to get into, or you just kind of fell into it?
I fell into it. My uncle.
Got you, Grandpa. Good to see you.
What's up, Grandpa? All right. Man, I like that piano in the back. That's pretty nice there.
I got that's that virtual something.
Well, we got you working
on the virtual something, and also I closed down my big TV.
That's okay. So we worked it out.
All right, good deal.
Okay,
now this is how the trucking thing came about, and it was as simple as one line that my Uncle Jimmy said to me. and it just reverberated. And I was like, I could make a living off of it. I was complaining about being stuck behind a train. I was in Ypsilanti because my uncle lived in Ann Arbor. I was, going up there somewhere off of River Road over there by EMU with that train. I got stuck, and I was stuck there for like 20 minutes. But I'm on the phone with my uncle. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do because I was, at that crossroads of shutting down the mortgage company. Like, am I going to stay in Ohio, move back to Michigan, go back to Jersey? It was in limbo. And I had a job offer at a logistics company in Ohio because I was all set to come back to Michigan because in Michigan, it was already set up for me to come back home. But I had a job offer. It was a logistics company. And my uncle go, well, the truck going to be great for you because I ain't never seen a train track going to a grocery store and people got to eat. And I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute. You're right. Everything at the grocery store come in on a truck. Everything. It's like until they figure out how to put train tracks in grocery stores, trucking will always be in America because Americans got to eat. And that was it. I took that one line and ran with it. Literally went grocery shopping, and I looked at the package of everything I bought to see where it came from. And literally just went and hit Google and Googled every company, their name, address, phone number, and literally just called 200 places and asked for the shipping manager. And in 1 week, had 20 clients. It was literally that simple.
You hear that, Grandpa?
Yeah, I'm listening. It sounds good. I lost the picture though.
No, we can see you.
You can? I don't see nothing myself. No.
We'll figure that out, Grandpa. But we can see you. That's the important thing.
Okay.
But yeah, that's interesting. Like, so Grandpa always tells us these stories about how when he was younger, like the opportunity was so small. And then, Grandpa, what do you think about what AJ just said? He went from in his mortgage company to pivoting to now he has his own fleet of trucks right now. It's a successful. I'd say it's a very successful business. Like how does that? What does that make you think? This is that incremental change you always talk about.
Now, what's the question you said?
No, I'm saying, what do you think about that? Like he graduated school, he decided to start his own business, and he had to pivot when the mortgage crisis happened. Now he's in trucking.
Oh,
and they're still successful. I mean, like I'm juxtaposing it from when you always talk about when you were growing up, the opportunity was different.
Brilliance of black people has been in captivity when I was coming along. Now we free to do our thing, and that's beautiful for you to be able to get out of that. I'm assuming he was talking about the 2008 sub loan crisis.
Oh yeah,
when that's what I'm talking about. Trucking, I think for that particular time, I mean, not that at my particular time, we were nowhere near getting into no subprime loan. You couldn't even get a checking account. Let's move up, into subprime loans and trucking and all that. Yeah, it's beautiful. Now we kind of got our hands untied, and we're doing everything that we could have been doing years ago.
No, I dig that. So we were talking about last week. I think it was called NAFTA or something. Not NAFTA. It was what did Uncle Poober call it? But like it was a mortgage loan program where you can get like a first-time homeowner. It's like this company that sues like loan people or whatever. Uncle Poober should be on soon, but he was explaining it to us. And essentially, first-time homeowners, you can get 0% down, like your whole mortgage. Like you can even get like the repair fees rolled into it. And I just thought that was interesting because we were comparing it to how Bank of America is going to have a 0% loan structure, but there's not going to be like any real safety nets in there for like people, especially since when you're not putting any money down and they're going off just like your employment, you lose your job, you can essentially lose your house. It seems predatory in a way.
Yeah and nay. See, the Bank of America already got their hands smacked because of what happened in 06, 07, 08 with them. Mm-hmm. They are throwing an olive branch out, but you're right. There's no safety net with it. It's not predatory because the way Bank of America is doing it, they just using simple interest at this point. For instance, If you have an account with Bank of America, even if you've got $2 million in it, at the most they paying you is 2.5%. That's at the most. For all the deposits they take in, they only paying 2.5% at the absolute most. They turn it right around and they loaning that money out at the prevailing rate at 5.5%. Now 3% markup don't sound like a lot, but I'm gonna clue you into it. Just get your calculator out with me. Bank of America got $200 billion to loan out. So if you just look at this, if they can just get half of that money loaned out, they can get $100 billion of that loaned out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they can pick up the 3%. That's $103 million that they just make on those loans without trying. Don't sound like a lot of money, but if your entire operations for your bank staff, your operations for your loan department, your operations for credit card recovery, your operations for repossessions on cars only run you $65 million, but you're gonna pick up 100-something million just off of the interest off of the billion that you put out there. Why wouldn't you do it? Because now all your other departments run at 100% profit. Your credit card department, even if you have lossage and seepage, because you made so much money on the mortgages, the mortgage department is covering all the bills. Your nut is covered across the whole board. So now all your other departments are just 100% profit. And it gives you goodwill across America. Because now it looks like you actually trying to improve the Black and home ownership rate. So it makes them look better. And granted, yeah, they're not making 6 points or 7 points on their money, but if you can make 3 points on that much money, man, every CEO in America take that deal every day and twice on Sundays. It's a win-win. Because guess what? If you have to repo the house, this part where people don't realize the game. The bank come back in and they kick you out. They buy it from auction to technically clear the paperwork up, right? But now the game's so salty in real estate. Now they just turn right back around and they sell it to their own investment firms. Because like Bank of America is one of the biggest landlords in America. They own a whole bunch of houses and rent them out under different names. So now you gave people a chance to buy a house, and then if it don't work, you buy it back. You rent it out. You can't lose. The game is rigged for them. They can't lose. And they build goodwill across the country right now. So, I mean, it's a good program if people ain't got money to put down. It's not the best, but it's not bad. And at the same time, it keeps property values high because the last thing they want is for a housing crisis to hit again, and then their portfolio tanks. So if you can keep your portfolio propped up and keep all your properties high, well, your books look great. And that's all that really count right now in the world. As long as you keep the books looking great, you keep the investors happy, you keep the stock price high. Because people don't remember back in 08, I could pull that up. Bank of America stock dropped to like 90 cents a share. I mean, it's like, what, $35 now, whatever it is. But back in 08, Fifth Third was $1 a share. PNC, all the banks was on pennies. You know, if you pick those shares up in 98, I mean, you sitting on millions now. I mean, 08, not 98. Sorry about that. So it's the same thing. They just trying to learn from when everything crashed in 08. How do we keep this market going? Well, if all these corporations keep raising rents and the majority of people who pay rent are Black and brown people who don't own homes in proportion to the white people in America. Now we're giving them a chance to buy houses at a fair rate. They get tagged at 19% or 20%. They getting tagged at 5%. A 5% rate with no money in the game is a great freaking rate for somebody that's paying $1,800 in rent. And all of a sudden now they could buy a house, mortgage, taxes, insurance, and they at $1,500. They paying less for the house than they would have been paying for rent. At the same time, the bank win because now they got a new loan on the books. Now they got somebody that's going to pay them money for the next 20 or 30 years, depending on what mortgage they take. And this way it get even better because now you got them on the hook for the mortgage. Now you done pre-qualified them for your credit cards. Now you're giving them better interest rates on their car loans. Now, okay, with Bank of America, I know for a fact you got 3 loans with Bank of America. If you got a house and a car and a credit card, and you done paid them good for 2 years, you could stroll in there and ask for a personal loan up to 50 grand. And as long as your income can support the repayment, they give it to you. So now you know more people qualifying for more products with them. So yeah, I mean, it's ingenious for them to tap into a market that's underserved.
I see that. I get that. I'm just saying. So, for example, me and my wife, we had our mortgage through our first house through USAA, right? And USA has certain safety nets. Like, for example, when the COVID economy hit, and they're just like straight up, if you let us know that you're affected by the COVID, when COVID happened and it might have affected your money in some way, they're like, we'll pause your mortgage. Like, you don't got to pay, and it won't be accruing interest during the time either. Like, it's just until you get and like that was good for, like, I think at the time when it first started, it was just 6 months, but then they increased it to like a year, and then I think it was like, if you needed more time, you could talk to them. They increased it again, and they were just up front. Like, I think that was like they sent an email out to everybody, like, hey, if you're affected by it, this is what we're willing to do. Just give us a call and we'll set it up. Like, that's a protection. Like, they're trying to make sure people didn't have to lose their houses during an event. And from what like I said, there could be some more paperwork involved. From what I've just seen from articles about the Bank of America thing, it just seems pretty like cut and dry. Like, hey, you got a job, no money down, blah blah blah. And like, to me, when you're because people think that even if you make 6 figures, if you're not saving that money, investing well, you're a paycheck or two away from losing everything. So, like, unless you've done a pretty good job of being frugal or investing properly, like, without having any real protections on a loan, especially for your shelter, it just seems it doesn't seem like it's all the way in good faith to me, given what we just went through, like in 08 and just a couple years ago with COVID and all that.
Well, here's the flip side. I'm playing devil's advocate.
Okay.
If that same person was renting and same circumstances happened to them, guess what? They got 60 days before they get evicted.
Right, I get that.
At
but
least with a mortgage, depending on your state, at a minimum, they got 180 days. That's at a minimum. Some states right now, it's already 2 years. So it's already built-in protections because you own it versus you renting. And if that same renter didn't pay in 60 days, in most places in the country, they get evicted. Whereas if you own it, hell, you first off got to be 120 days behind for them to even file paperwork. And then depending where you live at, it's another 120 to 365 days before a judge even hear the first hearing on it. So, I mean, to me, homeowners have built-in protections, especially for the ones in Texas, Florida, California, New Jersey, and New York. They protections run 3 years deep. So it's already, no matter what, it's built in checks and balances on mortgages that a renter wouldn't have. So just by them signing a mortgage, a renter goes from 60 days of catastrophe being out in the street to at least a year, just by having that mortgage. Because a mortgage is a legal document. You got to take somebody to court, get out of it, and you basically got to sue them out of it. So that's why I say the mortgage, even if the person don't have money saved, but they were renting, they 10 months better ahead with a safety net than they are as a renter.
Okay, I gotta look into that. That sounds like some information.
Think about it. You live in Michigan and you renting in Michigan and you miss your rent. They give you that first eviction notice. They're trying to take you to court in 14 days. Once they take you to court in Michigan in them 14 days, you basically got 45 days to pay or go. It's a 60-day process. I own 8 houses in Metro Detroit. I know it like back of my hand. It's 60 days to get somebody out of a house. And as long as you're not in Wayne County, Wayne County is about 180 days. But if you in Oakland County or Washington County, they got about 60 days. They got that 15-day notice when they late. And once you file the paperwork, they got about 45 more days.
No, I dig that, man. Grandpa,
Yeah,
you got any
so
questions right now, man? I see your wheels spinning, man.
No, I'm enjoying this conversation. I was thinking in terms of he was talking about what is Bank of America. Didn't Freddie talk about Bank of America last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, about how because he can't stand them.
Yeah.
What was his reason?
Well, I mean, he was talking about stuff that I was talking about prior. Like they actually what was it? You said it was a few years ago, right? They got caught still doing redlining or something, like doing subprime loans to black people and things of
Yeah,
that nature.
Oh yeah. They don't get me wrong. I'm not like a cheerleader for them. I'd say and anybody listen, they ain't shit. I mean, but like I said, they trying to build some good fame. Like I said, it's one of those. Um, and this might be a bad analogy, but I'm gonna use it anyway. It's like your Uncle Sam. It's like the government. The government might do a whole lot for you. You know, if you join the service or XYZ, they do a whole lot for you. But Uncle Sam might have his thumb up your ass the whole goddamn time. So that's how I look at Bank of America. They might be doing a lot for you, but there's some BS behind it. But they're trying to build a better name for themselves. So I can't, like I said, just looking at the sheer number and how much money they have. If they know they're making 3 points on the package, I mean, 3 points is 3 points. Now, when you got that much money, that's a lot of money.
No, I agree with that. You gave me a lot to think about. I got to look at some of those laws. What are some? So I remember you were telling us the group about how, and this is I actually applaud you for this. You said you have the three daughters now.
Yep,
So
22, 16, and 14.
and you have them working at your businesses, right?
Yeah, they every day after school they bring their ass here and go to work. I got chores for them every day. I have them call on customers. I have them do billing, do scheduling. They're gonna do something. Ain't no free lunch at my house. They gotta
So
do something.
I like that. I like that in the sense that not only are you teaching life skills, but you can put on your resume that you got, because like there's always the working joke that when you graduate college, they want you to have 10 years of experience in something
Well,
for
I
entry
got a
level.
kid who graduated with 7 years of experience. And she ended up with a job in my eyes that she was never qualified for, but she works for a major company in Chicago as general manager of one of their facilities because she had 7 years of logistics experience. And I'm like, they can't do math. I mean, you're only 22 years old. How you gonna have 7 years? But it was real experience. She started at 15 working for me. And she knew all the legal stuff as far as what trucks needed to do, hours operation, break time, weight limits, what they can and can't do. She knew all that on her interview, and that got her in the door.
Oh, so this job that she's at now is just training for when she takes over your company when you retire.
She cracks that joke all the time, and I keep telling her she's gonna be working for her little sister.
Oh, that's what's so the little one's the business one.
No, the little one is just the most money hungry, and the little one is the most cutthroat. I mean, I've heard my 14-year-old, like I've had a vendor call me and trying to upsell me 20%. I've heard my 14-year-old, and these people don't know that it's a 14-year-old kid they talking to. I've heard her tell them, look, you signed the contract. Don't come back to me renegotiating. You signed the contract. That's the number. That sounds like a personal problem on your end. I'm listening to her have these conversations. I'm like, well, damn, where you get all that from? I was like, at least hear them out while they try to renegotiate.
He's like, I ain't trying to lose my business.
No, she said they signed the contract. If they can't read, that's their problem. I'm like, geez. And she at 14 talking like that.
That's tough, man. that's tough. But I guess my point I was trying to get to is, especially in our community, like to be able to set your kids up that way, to have that type of experience. Because business experience, whether like especially in sales, like everybody should have some type of sales job at least once in their life.
I agree.
So I mean, the fact that you're doing that, what are some things that I mean, I don't know, I know you won't tell any of your business, but what are some things that you teach your kids while they're working for you?
Figure it out. Problem solving. My favorite one. Like it could be mission impossible. Like a problem could present itself, and I tell them all the time, don't come to me crying with it. You smart. You got a brain. Figure out a logical solution. Before you execute it, though, you might want to come talk to me and your mom, though. Make sure this solution gonna work. But as far as I'm concerned, you're not a mental midget. You got the capacity to think and figure stuff out. So I give them all the opportunity to figure stuff out. And then, if it keep kicking them in the butt, then I'll get involved and I'll help them. But that's my whole favorite thing. Ain't nothing. The experience is the best teacher. And then I said, just because you might cost me a couple bucks or something, I said, it's only money. I said, if I make money, 12 hours out the day, and you cost me, $2,000 1 hour, I'll be upset about it, but it's not the end of the world. It's only a couple grand. My one daughter got hustled for $1,000 by a trucker last week. And I showed her how she got hustled. She couldn't believe it. And she talking like she a gangster. I'm like, come on, it's not that serious. She was like, I'm waiting for him to come back in here. I'm gonna hit him with a crowbar. I'm like, no, we don't go that far. It's not that serious.
That's the 14-year-old.
Yeah, she pissed.
That's funny, man.
She got work for $1,000 and she is upset. And I showed her like how it worked, but it's just different little things. But I need them to progressively always think and see the bigger picture. And I have a couple little phrases. I always say, adversity builds character. Is one of my favorite things. I ask a lot of people this one question, in an interview, and I always say it, and people look at me crazy and I want to answer. I go, "You ever been punched in the face?" And most people don't want to answer. I'm like, you ever punched anybody in the face? Most people don't want to answer. I want to hear yes on both. Because if you done got punched in the mouth or you done socked somebody in the mouth, at least I know you know how to stick up for yourself. At least I know you know how to get socked in the mouth and keep it moving. Who I don't want to hire is the person who ain't never been in a fight in their life. I ain't got time for that shit. You can't teach that adversity.
Hey, Grandpa, how many fights you been in?
How many fights?
Yeah.
Depending on what you call a fight. Yeah. Hey, man, when I was in my youth, you stayed in a fight, if that's what you call a fight,
I remember, like AJ, Grandpa has this story. I'll see if he wants to tell it. But he used to live with Hamtramck, and there used to be a trolley or something that used to go through Detroit, down, all the way through the city or whatever. And there was a part of the city where white folks would straight up attack you every single day up for a certain number of blocks until you got off or something. Remember that, Grandpa?
No, you sure that was me?
Yeah, I remember you said you got chased or something. Like someone threw a brick. It was back in the 60s or something, or 50s.
No, that couldn't have been me, because our problem was back in the 40s and the 30s.
There we go. I remember you told us a story where something happened where somebody was throwing bricks on the bus or the trolley or something you were on.
Oh, no, that was some, I know what you're talking about. That was back in the 40s. That was some high school stuff, kids. When Eastern High School used to be over there on Grand Boulevard, I guess near Kirchhoff or Mac somewhere. And you talking about when the student ran us back to almost back to Hamilton, right? Got on the streetcar and they throwing bricks. That's what you talking about?
Yeah.
They throwing bricks in the window. That's some of that school stuff,
Man, that like AJ, man, throwing bricks and stuff is school stuff back in there before you got social media where you can record everything. That was wild, man.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, but I guess because we gotta wind down the show, I can get back to a meeting at 4. But so, what are I guess I'm gonna end it like this. What are 3 things that you would tell somebody who's starting out if they're trying to start working for themselves? Either look for or plan for.
Now, the first thing I tell everybody is if you're going to go out for yourself, your safety net or your family is going to be the biggest thing, especially if you're young. I tell everybody, especially young guys, I got a little mentee that's doing this thing in real estate right now. He's 23 years old, but he had the safety net of living with his parents. I'll put his name out there, Jameson Williams. He's one of my friends online. You'll be able to look him up. He's 23 years old. Kid owns 9 properties now. But the thing was, he did this while living in his dad's house and then had no bills. And I used to tell him all the time, he used to be my neighbor. So I've known the kid since he's 12. And I knew he's a smart kid. I knew he would never work for nobody because he just, his attitude was just, I knew he could never work for nobody. So I'm going to use him, good example. This kid is buying 8 and 16 unit buildings now at 23 years old. But he got the safety net that he lived with his parents. So if everything go haywire, he ain't homeless. That's why I say it's that's the first thing. If you're gonna do something, start young, and as long as you got your family support, that will go way farther than any type of money you can have to start doing what you're doing.
Okay.
Because I use him. He's the best example I could use. Like, what was the movie about the dude from Chicago, the activist? It was on HBO. I can't think of the damn movie now. Oh my goodness. The guy that got assassinated back in the 60s. They did the movie about him on HBO.
Grandpa, who got assassinated back in the 60s from Chicago?
Oh man, I was killing me. I can't think.
Fred Hampton.
There you go, the Hampton movie. That one right there. Reason I'm bringing that up, this kid I'm talking about, he had a little role in that movie, and they paid him $30,000 for that little role. He turned that $30,000 into about $1.5 million 2 years later. That's the same kid I'm talking about, Jameson Williams. Byron Jameson Williams is his name.
Dig that.
Yeah, he had a little acting role in that, played in that, turned right around, took the little money that he got from that, bought a Range Rover. He was like, why are you buying a Range Rover? Little son of a gun put it on Toro and rent it out for $1,000 a day in the Cleveland area. And it stayed rented 20 days a month for like 10 months, took that money and bought a 4-family. All while living at his parents' house and refusing to get a job. Because like I said, his attitude is such, like I said, he wouldn't work well with others. So, I use stories like that, but that's use your network to build your net worth. Okay. If you young and you ain't running around here got a bunch of kids or nothing, man, I tell anybody, if grandma and grandpa gonna let you hang out for a year or two and not pay no bills, you better move in and follow their rules. Then go out there and hustle and stack your money. That's what a lot of people don't think. They think it's moving backwards to be, 21, 22, living with your grandparents. Yeah, I encourage it. My daughter didn't have the job she had. I already had it set up for her to go live with my mama back in Delaware and work down there because I ain't want her in my house per se, because I didn't want to strangle her. But living with grandparents, I think grown grandkids and grandparents get along great. It's like the best relationships.
I can attest to that. Me and Grandpa been doing this show for what, 3 years now? Give or take.
Yes. No, the reason I say that because grandparents, when they was our parents, they was all evil and tough. But now with grandkids, they be like the most nice, docile people in America. So that's why I'm like grandkids and grandparents are the best living together.
That's funny. Well, what's your second thing?
Hustle. Never let nobody outwork you. That's all too. If that's what you want to do, work harder than the next person, even if you don't know what you're doing. Make mistakes and figure it out. As long as you're working to better yourself, you'll get there.
I dig that.
I tell people like this trucking stuff, when I got in it, I didn't really know what I was doing. Trial and error. But keep going. Keep doing what you got to do.
And what's your third thing?
Oh, this is strictly for black guys.
Okay.
Always. And some people may say it sounds racial. It ain't meant to be, but it is what it is. If you're doing something and you see the white guy doing something, make sure whatever you're doing is twice as better than whatever he's doing. Because believe me, he get away doing half the work you do and get all the credit. So you got to make sure your knife is sharper than his and your work is better than his all the time.
Like that.
It's a cruel world, but that's the world we live in.
I agree. Well, thank you, man, for coming on the show. Grandpa, what's your final thought today?
My final thought? I thought, well, I enjoyed the show, and I hope you come back some more and give us another lesson on finance.
Oh yeah, I will because I got my daughters out here looking at me. I guess I got to go out here and see what's going on. I guess I've been in here for a little bit too long.
Oh, before you sign off, man, pub your business. Like, what's the name of it and everything?
Oh,
So people can,
KPM Freight Logistics Group, but it's more business to business. I don't deal with the general public unless you own a business and trucking stuff. You never know who I am.
8 p.m.
K like my three daughters, Carrington, Peyton, Madison. KPM.
That's it.
Yeah, KPM Freight Logistics Group, Mason, Ohio.
Dang, man, that's a lot to spell, but I'm just gonna put K.
Yeah, KPM. Like you'll see I got my logo posted on a few different places. You got KPM.
Look for KPM. It's in Ohio. Look for this man. AJ's very legit. I'm sure he'll work out a good price with you, but make sure your money's on time because his 14-year-old will look for you with the crowbar.
Yeah, she's something else.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks, Grandpa. We'll see you guys again next week.
Be easy, guys. Later.
Have a good one. Take care.